Yeah, you say you're fine, but let's be real. Are you? Because here's the truth. Your actions don't lie, your behavior doesn't lie, and your subconscious doesn't lie. And if we're being honest, the people around you can see it too. So let's stop pretending that everything's fine and let's wake up. Because here's the truth, being fine isn't the same as being healed. And just because you're not actively thinking about the past doesn't mean that it's not controlling your behavior. It just means it found other ways to show up in your life. So this is for all the people that say I'm fine and they think they've gotten over the things that have happened in their past. They think that it doesn't affect them anymore. So I'm going to give you a few examples of how your past actually does continue to affect your behaviors and your attitude and your personality and all that. And then towards the end, we're going to show you how you can overcome it and start fixing these things. So first, let's talk about people that say that they're fine, but yet they snap at the smallest inconveniences. Like these people, their temper is a ticking time bomb, right? And everybody around them just always walking on eggshells, just waiting for them to freak out about the smallest things. Those same people are the ones that tell me, "Oh, I'm fine. None of this is really for me. I'm good." But that's what they do. They freak out, and their whole family and all their friends are walking around on eggshells because they don't want to upset them because they're going to blow up. That's not fine. The second thing is people who have to control every detail of their life and the lives of those around them, because deep down those people are terrified of losing control. Another example is the people that push people away the moment that they get too close. They sabotage relationships before they can even begin. The other types of people are the people that are actually stuck in the past. They just keep rehashing those same mistakes, those same hurts and trauma and drama and everything that happened to them in the past. But whenever you want to talk about trying to fix it, they don't want to have anything to do with fixing it. They're fine. It doesn't bother them anymore. Now me, I do talk about my past, but I talk about it from a place where there's no emotional attachment to it anymore. It's just a memory. And often the way that I talk about it to teach lessons from what happened and the lessons that were learned for the benefit of other people, because I've already healed from everything in my past. And that's what I'm trying to get everybody else to do, specifically the people that are always saying that they're fine and their past doesn't bother them. The other thing is the people that constantly shut down any kind of feedback or criticism. They just get offended whenever you want to talk to them about their life because they're fine. They don't need any help. And so therefore, anytime you bring it up to them, they just get offended like you're personally attacking them. Well, that's not the case at all. You're trying to help them move on from where they are so that they can progress in their life. If any of that sounds familiar, then the people around you that say that are not fine. That's a survival mechanism that people don't even realize, and is literally costing you everything. Most people don't realize that the way that they move through life isn't just who they are, it's who they became in response to what they have gone through. That means that a lot of the habits that you have, the reactions that you have, the behaviors that you have, you think that they're just part of your personality, but in reality, they're actually defense mechanisms that were created to protect you. So number one, you have what I like to call the controller. As a controller, you say you're fine, but you micromanage everyone around you. Your partner, your kids, your coworkers, and they all feel suffocated because you just won't let go of control. I mean, in your mind, you call it being helpful, but really it's about fear. At some point, you learn that if things aren't in your control, then they just fall apart. Maybe you grew up in an unpredictable household. Maybe you had to be responsible from a young age. Maybe you learned early on that trusting people always led to disappointment. So now you micromanage, you feel anxiety when things don't go according to plan, and you really struggle with letting others take the lead. But the thing about it is you don't think of it as trauma. You just think of it as that's just the way that I am. But if uncertainty makes you anxious instead of excited, if you struggle, like you don't believe that things will work out unless you force them to, if you have that belief, that's not a personality trait. That's an unhealed wound that you haven't dealt with. The next one I want to talk about is called the Saboteur. That's the one who you say you're fine, but every time something good happens, you find a way to ruin it. Now, I used to be this for sure. I used to sabotage everything. If you listen to any of my previous videos talking about it, this is who I was. This person, they pick fights, they create drama or they leave people before that person has a chance to leave them. And if that's you, you're not fine. You're scared. You're scared of being hurt. And so what do? We hurt ourselves first. That makes a whole lot of sense. We're scared of being hurt, but I don't want you to hurt me, so I'm just going to hurt myself first. And the way that this came about is if you grew up with unstable love, or if the people that you cared about left or betrayed you or neglected you, your brain learned that closeness equals danger. And so you're always trying to push people away because you think it means danger. And now again, all this stuff is subconscious. This isn't a conscious thought. These are the programs that get stuck into our subconscious as a means of survival whenever they take place. Because the brain prioritizes survival instead of happiness, it starts running this silent test in the background. It's like, will they leave me if I push them away? Will they still love me if I make things difficult? Are they really here for me, or are they just going to abandon me like everybody else? And then, again, if you heard my story, we have these thoughts and we're the ones that make it incapable for them to stay. We are the ones that are complete assholes, pushing people away, sabotaging the relationship. And then when they leave, because we forced them to leave, we get upset, and then it justifies, see, I knew they were going to leave me. Everybody always leaves me. That's because we make ourselves so difficult to be around. Of course they're going to leave. But subconsciously, that's what our brain does. It keeps us on this program, and until we find it and fix it, it's just going to continue for the entirety of our lives. And the crazy thing is, we don't do it because we want to sabotage things. People inherently want to be happy, but we do it because deep down we expect the things to end anyway. Now let's talk about the other people who say they're fine, but their anger tells a completely different story. This person explodes over the most minute inconveniences. A misplaced comment, a dirty dish, traffic, something their kids did that's super insignificant. But the thing about it is they're not blowing up because of that event. They're blowing up because of all the unhealed, unresolved stuff that they've been through in their lives that's manifesting itself in the anger that's coming out right now over the spilt milk. Anger is a secondary emotion because underneath that anger, there's hurt, there's fear, there's sadness. But instead of dealing with those emotions, you lash out because for you, anger feels safer than vulnerability and it's more familiar, but it's still not right. You can go through life without that hair trigger temper all the time. And it's a much more fun and joyful way to live. So you're not fine. You're carrying pain that you refuse to deal with, and it's leaking everywhere, all over everybody. And you don't have to live like that. Next, we're going to talk about the people pleaser. I was this too. You say you're fine, but yet you're drowning in the need to make everybody happy. You say yes when you mean no, you bury your own needs, and then you resent everybody because of what you did. And that's not fine. That's self-abandonment. And where that comes from is if you grew up in a house where love felt conditional, where approval had to be earned, where speaking up got you shut down, that's when your brain learned, well, my needs don't matter. I have to keep people happy to be safe. Conflict is dangerous. So now you shapeshift, you avoid confrontation at all costs, and you betray yourself to keep other people comfortable. And you know what the cost of that is? Your own peace. Here's the hard truth. When you say you're fine, you're not just betraying yourself. You're hurting everyone around you. Your partner feels alone, your friends feel shut out, your kids feel the tension, your coworkers feel the tension, all because you say you're fine. And you don't pay any attention to these personality traits and these behaviors that you have that are unhealthy. You're not fine. And they know it, but nobody can help you if you won't admit it. And that's one of the hardest lessons, is to become self-aware enough to notice your patterns, your negative belief systems. It's very difficult to face yourself in the mirror and look at yourself and say, man, I suck in this area. But that's the only way that you're ever going to grow past it. That's the only way you're ever going to heal it. Nobody wants to look in the mirror and tell themselves they suck. But we all do. We all have areas that we need to grow in. We all have things that we need to fix. so that we don't just lose our tempers for the smallest inconvenience. So people don't have to walk around on eggshells around us all the time. You can live a peaceful, joyful, happy life where people love being around you, where your energy is amazing. But you first have to take a hard, long look in the mirror and find the instances and the behavior patterns that you have that are unhealthy, negatively affecting you in your life, negatively affecting everybody around you. So it's time to stop hiding. It's time to stop pretending. One of the things that I always like to bring up in these videos is the law of exposure. So you've been exposed to the information. Now it's up to you to go do something about it. There's no coincidences in life. So if you're watching this and you feel a tinge of like, oh, yeah, you need to fix that. Or even if you watching and you have a strong belief, oh, that ain't for me, I'm not like that. That's self-denial. We all have something that we need to work on. Because if you don't fix it, you're just going to be stuck in the same pain, the same struggle, the same self-denial, and the same self-sabotage that you have been for your entire life up to this moment. And the longer that you stay there, the more you're going to lose love, the more you're going to lose connection, the more you're going to lose trust, the more you're going to lose peace, the more you're going to lose joy. And you don't have to stay here. You don't have to keep living like this. But again, the first step is admitting that you're not fine. And that's okay, because not being fine doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. So here's my challenge to everybody. Stop saying you're fine and ask yourself, am I really fine? Or have I just gotten really good at pretending? Look at your actions. Look at your relationships. Look at the patterns that you keep repeating. And if the answer is no, I'm not fine, don't run from it. Lean into it. Get curious. Get honest. Get help if you need it. Because the bravest thing you can do is realizing that you're not fine and doing something about it. We live in this culture of just swallowing everything down and never talking about it and never making ourselves vulnerable. And then we go through life with this attitudes, angry all the time, arguing all the time, getting rude and sarcastic and loud with our friends and our kids and our spouse. And it doesn't have to be that way. You're just refusing to deal with the that you have to deal with. Nobody wants to walk on eggshells around you. Nobody wants to have to, I don't know if he's in a good mood or a bad mood. Like, nobody wants to be around that person. Here's the thing. You've been running on survival mode for so long, you don't even question it anymore. It's just who you are. But now you see it for what it really is. It's the unhealed patterns that are running your life in the background. The real question is not, am I fine? The real question is, am I free? And if you're not, what are you going to do about it? You've got to stop using the excuse of that's just how I am. That's just my personality. No, your personality sucks. You have all this unhealed trauma, all this unhealed stuff that you refuse to deal with. And it boggles my mind that people refuse to take a look at themselves and heal the parts of them that make them an asshole to everybody else that they're around. And they use the excuse, I'm fine. No, you're not. You can't maintain a successful relationship. You get angry at the smallest things. You're disrespectful to your wife, your kids, your friends, your family. This is all unhealed. It's not just a personality trait. Here's the thing. Awareness, it's powerful. But awareness is not going to fix it. Awareness just in itself is not going to change your life. If you don't actively rewrite the programming in your mind, those same patterns are just going to keep pulling you back. So in the next episode, I'm going to show you how to rewire your mind so you don't continue falling back into those old patterns. It's going to take work. Anything worth doing, worth becoming better at is going to take work. It's always going to be difficult in the beginning, and changing your entire personality is no different. Healing from these old patterns is no different. But the question is, are you willing to put in the work? Because you're going to become a better human if you do. But if you're, comfortable with the status quo and comfortable with all these shitty behaviors and programming that you're stuck in currently, then don't worry about it. But if you do want to change, if you are tired of living in the same cycle repeated over and over, then watch the next video. I know most people never want to look in the mirror. Most people never want to look backwards at how anything that happens to them could potentially still affect them. But we've been over how it is. So it's time for you to do something about it. And that starts now. Look, if this message hit home for you, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell so you never miss an episode. If you know somebody that needs to hear this, send it to them. Do me a favor, drop a comment below. Let me know what resonated with you the most. You can follow me on Instagram or check out the website below. I'll put a link in the description. Thank you so much for watching or listening. I hope it helps. As always, make good choices, and I'll see you on the next one.